Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Padyantam Vande Guru Paramparam अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो नमः श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओम श्री मेधा दक्षिणामूर्ति स्वामिने नमः। ओम सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। हरिः ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम। Namaste once again everyone.
Namaste Guruji.
Namaste Guruji.
Namaste Guruji.
Namaste
Namaste Guruji.
namaste namaste. So offering our prayers to Adi Guru, Dakshinamurti, and invoking his blessings, and also invoking the blessings of all rishis, acharyas in the parampara, like Vyasacharya, Adi Shankara, Pujya Swami Dayananda Saraswati, his disciples, notably Swami Paramathananda Saraswati, other gurus in the parampara. Today we start the study of selected verses of Vivekachudamani, which is a Prakarana Grantha. You should remember this technical word, Prakarana Grantha. So firstly, I extend a very warm welcome to all of you, especially the new students who are attending my classes for the first time. So I hope all of you have a spiritually enriching learning through these classes and are able to spiritually grow in your life. Actually, if you ask anyone what he or she looks forward to in every moment of his or her life, what will be the answer? Answer will be happiness. Isn't it? Every one of us wants to be always happy. No one will say, I want to be sad for at least for a while. Isn't it? Actually, this not only for human beings, this perhaps applies to all living beings. But animals, plants, etc. are unable to express it. Even though from some of their actions, we can actually guess or deduct that they also are looking for some kind of a comfort, some kind of an happiness. So being happy is a very natural thing for all living beings. Therefore, what we do through each and every seeking of material things, material comforts, relationships, possessions, acquisitions, etc., what we are really seeking is happiness alone. Material comforts give us some temporary happiness, so we seek material comforts. Relationships give us some happiness, so we seek relationships, possessions, acquisitions, all this. So what we are seeking is happiness, and happiness here and now, in this birth itself, not sometime later or in the next birth or anything, right? We want happiness now. Having said that, it is our disappointing experience that none of us are able to experience happiness all the time. No doubt, we do have moments of happiness, but soon enough, we are engulfed in some sorrow, some unhappiness, some grief, etc. Therefore, whatever happiness that we experience, that seems to be relative happiness and not absolute happiness. So does that mean that our goal of gaining absolute happiness is a pipe dream? The answer is a big no. I'm getting some disturbance. Somebody has... good. So the goal of gaining absolute happiness is not an impossible goal. The secret knowledge which will lead us to be absolutely and eternally happy lies in the teachings of the Upanishads, otherwise called Vedanta, which is the end portion of the Vedas. It is this knowledge contained in the Upanishads which is presented in a condensed form by Bhagavan Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. It is this Upanishadic knowledge which is thoroughly analyzed by sage Vedavyasa in a treatise called Brahma Sutra, a profound work written by Vyasacharya, analyzing the contents and messages of the Upanishads from a Nyaya or reason and logic standpoint. Because whatever the Vedas say, unless it appeals to our intellect, our reasoning, no person will accept them. There has got to be either a logic, or at least what is stated in the Upanishad should not be illogical. Therefore, a proper study of Vedanta, especially Advaita Vedanta, non-dual philosophy, which we are practitioners, we are all studying Advaita Vedanta only, which is found, this Upanishad portion of the Vedas are called Jnana Kanda also. That involves a study of what is referred to as Prasthana Trayam. Trayam means three. Prasthanam means that which to go. Literally, it means to go. That means to go towards the final goal in your life, which is technically called moksha. For our purpose at this stage, let us say absolute happiness. That is moksha. So this Prasthana Trayam, there are three texts. As I said, first is Upanishads, complete study of the Upanishads. If not all, because there are 108 or so odd Upanishads, at least some select Upanishads. As per Parampara, there are about 10 Upanishads which are very important, on which Adi Shankara has written commentary. So at least the 10 Upanishads one should study. Then the second text is Bhagavad Gita. And the third text is Brahma Sutra. So Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita and Brahma Sutra, these three texts are called Prasthana Trayam, which is a very, very important study one has to undertake from Advaita philosophy, Advaita Vedanta point of view. The Upanishads are called Shruti Prasthanam. Bhagavad Gita is called Smriti Prasthanam. And Brahma Sutra is called Nyaya Prasthanam. And this Prasthanatrayam are the Pramanam or the means of knowledge for Advaita Vedanta. Therefore, whenever we talk about Pramanam in the context of Advaita Vedanta, we refer to the Prasthanatrayam. It means that these three texts only are the means, authentic means of valid knowledge, and whatever is said in any other scriptures or shastric texts is not considered as valid, including the Puranas, Itihasas, other Smritis, because even in Smriti Prastha, only Bhagavad Gita is recognized as authentic and valid for the purpose of Advaita Vedanta. Therefore, an in-depth study of these three scriptures are undertaken. As I said, these three are considered to be authoritative and primary sources for Advaita Vedanta Darshanam that teach the means to strive for moksha or liberation from the bondage of samsara and the bondage of rebirths. So once a person is released from these bondages, he will enjoy absolute freedom, which will lead to absolute happiness. Therefore, no study of Vedanta is considered complete without a close examination of the Prasthanatraya texts. Now, for undertaking any study, a student must have certain qualifications, isn't it? For example, if you want to study medicine, you must have some prior knowledge of subjects like biology, chemistry, etc. An arts student who has only studied economics and history and whatnot, he will not be admitted to a course of teaching medicine, or for that matter, even engineering. Similarly, for undertaking a study of Vedanta also, the scriptures prescribed certain qualifications which are defined as sadhana chatushtaya sampatti. Is there anybody unmuted still? No? Okay. There's even a slight sound has a potential to disturb. Okay. So sadhana chatushtaya sampatti details the qualifications required for a student who wants to pursue Advaita Vedanta study. What is this sadhana chatushtaya? Chatushtaya sampatti means fourfold virtues, fourfold disciplines, or you can even call fourfold qualifications. Whoever possesses these fourfold qualifications, they are called adhikaris. All this terminology which I am introducing you, you must remember. They are called adhikari. Adhikari is a person, is a seeker, is a student who has got this sadhana chatushtaya sampatti, the fourfold qualifications for studying Vedanta, for studying the Prasthanatrayam. Now, what are these fourfold qualifications? I will briefly touch upon each of them, not go into the details, because there are students here who have studied this qualification in detail in the Tattva Bodha classes. But other students will need a certain basic introduction to what these qualifications are. So to that extent, I will briefly explain these qualifications. The very first one is called Vivekaha. Vivekaha means discriminative knowledge or clarity in thinking. The most important virtue in life is freedom from muddled or confused thinking. Most of our problems personally arise because of our muddled or confused thinking. We are not able to think clearly. Even in the worst crisis, the one who can keep his cool and enjoy clarity in thinking, he will come out victorious, he can win. And the main emphasis of Adi Shankara in Vivekachudamani text is this qualification, Viveka, which is discriminative knowledge. Now the Shastra, the scriptures talk about two types of Vivekas, which are relevant for, one type of Viveka relevant for Karma Yoga, one type of Viveka relevant for Jnana Yoga. We will not touch upon the Viveka for Karma Yoga. That is something which I am now teaching in the Bhagavad Gita classes. So I will, because that's not the subject matter here. So the Jnana Yoga Viveka in the Vedanta study, the Viveka that is emphasized is Nitya Anitya Vastu Viveka. Nitya Vastu means a permanent one, permanent thing or a permanent entity. The word Nitya means permanent. So whatever is permanent is called Nityam. So opposite to that, Anitya Vastu means that which is impermanent, that which is temporary. And we have seen the meaning of Viveka as discrimination. Therefore, the very first qualification is to have a clear awareness of the fact of what is permanent and what is impermanent. Because if one knows what is impermanent, he will never have wrong expectations in his life, in his or her life. He will not expect permanence from an impermanent thing. Permanent happiness cannot come from an impermanent thing, isn't it? It's a very simple fact. Because as long as, even if you feel or you believe that an impermanent thing is going to give you happiness or giving you happiness, it will give happiness only till it is existing. Once it becomes non-existent, that happiness will go away. Therefore, permanent happiness will come only from permanent things and not impermanent things. But what we do, we always expect permanent happiness from impermanent things. So this discriminative understanding is, first, permanent security cannot come from impermanent thing. So if one is expecting permanent happiness and permanent security from impermanent things or impermanent sources, then that becomes a foolish and unintelligent expectation. And every unintelligent expectation will lead to sorrows in life. No doubt about it. So this is the first qualification, Viveka. The second qualification required for a sadhaka or for a seeker is Vairagya. Vairagya means dispassion, freedom from all types of addiction, freedom from all types of sensory slavery, freedom from all types of emotional hooks. Freedom does not mean getting rid of it totally. It means gaining mastery. So Vairagya means gaining mastery over addiction and slavery to sense pleasures. Again, we must understand this very carefully. It does not mean suppressing the desires, but gaining mastery over the mind and sense organs so that their activities can be carefully regulated. We can make our mind and sense organs go where we want them to go rather than we go behind them wherever they are going. So this is the second qualification, Vairagya. The third qualification is called Samadhi Shatka Sampatti. And this consists of 6 virtues or disciplines. Shamaha, Samadhi means Shamaha Adi, starting with Shama, 6 virtues. Shamaha means mental discipline or thought discipline. Damaha means sense control or mastery over the functions of the sensory faculties. Third one is Uparamaha. Uparamaha means withdrawal or quietude, outgrowing dependence on other people, objects and situations for happiness. Titiksha, fourth one. Titiksha means endurance or patience or forbearance, developing capacity for that. Fifth one is Shraddha, faith or trust in the teachings of the Shastra and the Guru. And Samadhanam, concentration or focusing power, that is Chitta Ekagrata and Chitta Naischalyam. Ability to concentrate your mind on a particular thing. This is the Samadhi Shatka Sampatti. So a student has to develop all these qualities also. He has to gain all these qualifications also. Then the fourth and the last qualification is Mumukshutvam. What is Mumukshutvam? A keen desire for moksha or liberation from the kind of life one who is engaged in worldly affairs is forced to live on a day-to-day basis. There are many people who are tired with their life. They just are praying, oh God, take me away. As if God has got control over it. You will go when your time is up, as per your own karmas. Till such time, one has to live with whatever circumstances one has. But there is a choice. You can become a mumukshu. You can say, I am fed up with this kind of life. I don't want to live this life. I want liberation, freedom from this kind of life. What should I do? So, while we cannot change the circumstances and the situations that we come across every day, and which makes us every now and then unhappy, we can certainly alter our responses to those circumstances and situations, which will help us out of the sorrow and misery and lead us to a state of absolute happiness. But this change of approach will not come naturally. You need guidance for that, how to go about doing it. It has to be learnt and practiced. For this, one needs to undertake an in-depth study of the Prasthanatrayam, for which these qualifications are necessary. The sadhana chatushtaya sampatti qualifications are necessary for study of Vedanta. Therefore, as I said, one who is qualified as above is called an adhikari. Now there will be a question. I look at myself. I don't think I have got any of these qualifications. Does it mean that I am not fit for Vedanta studies? Does it mean that before undertaking Vedanta studies, I should have full adhikaritvam, full sadhana chatushte sampatti qualifications? Valid question, isn't it? But unlike the other, materialistic subjects, rather like science, etc., here in Vedanta, the answer is it is not necessary to gain full adhikaritvam or full SCS qualifications. In Vedanta, unlike other courses or studies, one can start with a basic level of adhikaritvam and keep improving the level along with the studies. And the Shastra for this purpose divides the adhikaris into 3 groups. Manda adhikari, Madhyama adhikari and Uttama adhikari. Manda adhikaritvam or basic level of qualification is sufficient to start undertaking the studies. But that basic level of qualification, Viveka, Vairagya, and sadhana, what is that, Samadhi, Shatka, Sampati, that should be there. And the unfortunate part is that most of the people even do not have that basic qualification. And that is why a subject like Vedanta doesn't interest them at all. In fact, they will dismiss Vedanta as all nonsense. Why? Because they don't have the qualification. They can't see the value of these Vedanta studies. And normally, people who get attracted to Vedanta studies, they have basic level of qualifications. That correlation automatic. It is only when you have a certain basic level of qualification which you have either consciously or unconsciously developed due to your life experiences. Because our life experiences also teach us many things. Only such people come to Vedanta studies rather. And as even the studies are going on, the student who is referred to as sadhaka or a mumukshu, he should constantly work towards improving his adhikaritvam and move from manda adhikari to first to madhyama adhikari and then to uttama adhikari. So as a student moves up the adhikaritvam ladder, the Vedanta teaching also will become clearer and clearer. That is the correlation between adhikaritvam qualification and the Vedanta teaching. Initially, if you are a manda adhikari, many of the things that you are taught, it may not make any sense. But when you reach the madhyama adhikari stage, the same things which did not make any sense will start making sense to you. Uttama adhikari, you don't even, many of the things for uttama adhikari, it is as if, he already knows these things. It comes to him instinctively rather. And another important aspect is this adhikaritvam is not a one janma or one life or one birth affair. If you gain more and more adhikaritvam in this janma, and suppose you don't reach that final goal of moksha, this adhikaritvam has already become part of your samskara. So in the next birth, you will not need to repeat the whole process. That's why we find that there are many people who at a very young age, they want to take sannyasa. Swami Paramathananda, very young age. Of course, Puja Swami Dayananda Saraswati, at least he was about around 30 years when he took sannyasa. But people like Paramathananda and all, and we can go to the Gurukulam, very young boys, they take sannyasa. Why? Because they have a high level of adhikaritvam, which they are carrying forward from their previous birth. Material things don't interest them. They have enough viveka, vairagya. But perhaps they didn't get an opportunity to pursue Vedanta studies, so they take up that in this Janma, or they started the Vedanta studies, but for some reason they could not complete it, and so they are completing it in this Janma. All these things are there. Even Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi himself has spoken about all these things. So that is regarding Prasthanatrayam, who is qualified to study Vedanta. So as I mentioned earlier, Vivekachudamani is a Prakarana Grantha. So we need to briefly understand what Prakarana Granthas are and their role in Vedantic studies. Obviously, they are not part of the Prasthanatrayam, because as I said, Prasthanatrayam is Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita and Brahma Sutra. And as we know, our Vedic scriptures are all in Sanskrit. Therefore, while pursuing the Vedanta studies, a student will come across a number of technical terms used in the Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, etc., which he or she will find it difficult to understand. Therefore, some clarity on the basic terminology and concepts is a must before you start the studies, right? Because many a time the same word may have different meanings depending upon the context in which it is used. There are words like mana, buddhi, ahankara, chitta, jiva, brahman, panchakoshas, 3 types of shariras, Stula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, Karana Sharira, all these technical words you will come across in all these Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita and all that. You will not know the meanings, and if you start referring to a dictionary for the meaning of these words, you will not find any of them. Therefore, it becomes very necessary for a student, before undertaking the studies of Prasthanatrayam, that is the Upanishads, want the student to have a clear understanding of the basic terminology and the concept of the Shastras. And therefore, in order to develop sufficient inner purity and to explain the basic terminology used in the Shastras, Acharyas like Adi Shankara and other Acharyas in the Parampara, with Vidyaranya Swami, so many Acharyas are there. They have composed many Prakarana Granthas, often known as introductory texts to Advaita Vedanta. Some of the well-known Prakarana Granthas are Tattva Bodha, Atma Bodha, Aparoksha Anubhuti, Panchikarana, Vivekachudamani, Upadesha Sahasri, Vakya Vritti, Panchadashi written by a beautiful Prakarana Grantha by Vidyaranya Swami, Vedanta Sara, Vedanta Paribhasha. I mean, there are number of Prakarana Granthas. It is not possible to study all of them. Therefore, what Puja Swamiji has done, because Puja Swamiji was the one, when he was a part of Chinmaya mission, he was the one who designed the long-term course, long-term Vedanta course, which lasts for 40 months plus, 3.5 years. So in that, he has selected certain Prakarana Granthas and then certain Upanishads, etc., as a part of the course curriculum. That is what I studied. So, Vivekachudamani is one of the important Prakarana Granthas. So, even though Puja Swamiji did not include Vivekachudamani in the main course, he has taught Vivekachudamani. Anyhow, now these Prakarana Granthas are also written bearing in mind the level of adhikaritvam of the student. Because a Manda Adhikari cannot be subjected to a very advanced, for example, Panchadashi kind of Prakarana Grantha. Very advanced. For example, Tattva Bodha is composed for Manda Adhikari who are just about to undertake the study of Prasthanatrayam. So the very first text in Vedanta study is Tattva Bodha. The language used is very, very simple, very easy, lucid. Also, the composition mostly is in prose, except for a couple of shlokas in the beginning and end. Otherwise, the total content is in prose in the form of a question and answer between the student and the teacher. Now, coming to Vivekachudamani, as I said, it's an excellent introductory text, mostly in verse form. And as we have seen in other texts, in the scriptural literature, while composing verses, there are some meters like Anushtup Chandas, Drishtup Chandas, Gayatri Chandas, etc. are employed throughout. But Vivekachudamani is an exception. It is a mixture of different meters and also some verses which do not fit into any meter and they read like prose. This is the speciality of Vivekachudamani. But it is a very popular Prakarana Grantha, and the Parampara feels or believes that without study of Vivekachudamani, one cannot progress, one will not understand many of the aspects which are explained in the Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, etc. Now the authorship of Vivekachudamani. Traditionally, it is attributed to Adi Shankara. Even though modern scholars have difficulty in accepting the authorship of Shankara for this book for various reasons. Some say that this book, the way the verses are written does not reflect the style of Adi Shankara when we compare it with his other works rather. There are some people who say this is not the work of Adi Shankara, but probably a work of one Shankaracharya of some matam who has come in this Adi Shankara's lineage rather. Whether it could be Kanchi Madam or it could be Sringeri Madam or any other Puri and all that, those madams are there. So one of those Shankaracharyas might have composed this Prakarana Grantha. Whatever it is, this text is used as a text for initial study of Vedanta. And Puja Swamiji says, we don't lose anything even if the authorship is attributed to any other Shankaracharya of one of the various Shankara Matas. It doesn't matter who has written. What is important is for us, the content, what is being taught. We are there to learn. Unfortunately, unlike these times, earlier time, there were no copyright issues and all. Whenever these acharyas, they created all these texts, they never put their signature. They never said that this is the so-and-so acharya of so-and-so mata created this on in so-and-so day, on so-and-so year, etc. They never did that. Some clue we get from the authorship only from the Mangalacharna, the prayer which is offered right at the beginning of every text. I'll talk about it later. So therefore, Vivekachudamani is addressed to those who have a desire for ultimate Purushartha called moksha. I hope you all know the 4 Purusharthas, right? Artha, Kama, Dharma, Moksha. 4 Purusharthas, 4 human goals. What is desired as an end to be accomplished by a person, that is a Purusha, is a Purushartha. So among the many ends that a person goes after, Artha Purushartha, freedom from insecurity, freedom from inadequacy, Kama Purushartha, desires, which is there. Dharma Purushartha, reaching out karmas, trying to earn more punya papa in the life, in this life, by doing all right karmas. Then ultimately, complete liberation, freedom is called moksha purushartha. And in the vision of Advaita Vedanta, moksha is the nature of a self, the Atma. Atma means oneself. You should not think Atma is some spirit and all that. The word Atma in Sanskrit means self. Aham. That is Atma. And what Vedanta says is that this moksha, the nature of the self as being free, is already a fact which is accomplished. But due to our ignorance and error about ourselves, there is a sense of limitation, bondage, and there is a seeking for freedom. That is moksha. It takes a lot of maturity, born of assimilation of one's experiences, to discern moksha as the real end. In fact, it's very apparent, but we don't see it. Every country which was under a foreign rule wanted to be free. Why? Because they found themselves to be under a bondage, tied down by the foreign rulers. Everybody wanted freedom. So a mature mind, going through the life experiences, will also come to realize that I am finding my life to be completely under a bondage, tied down, limited. And therefore, I need to free myself from this. And that moksha is the real end. So therefore, Vivekachudamani has been composed as a Prakarana Grantha for a Madhyama Adhikari. One who has some exposure to Vedanta and has a good understanding of some of the basic concepts. And that's why some of the students, when they asked me, they were new students, when they asked me for admission, I just wanted to check up whether they had exposure to Vedanta or not. Otherwise, they will be wasting their time attending these classes. They should first study Tattva Bodha and then come here. Excuse me. Therefore, Vivekachudamani, in addition to dealing with the basic concepts and ventures, a basic concept, it also goes into more advanced concepts like Nyaya, logic, or reasoning, which is necessary for a study of Brahma Sutra at a later stage. So, Vivekachudamani is an ideal Prakarana Grantha for Madhyama Adhikari who have got some Vedanta background. Then there are other Prakarana Granthas for Uttama Adhikaris, very high level. But that need not concern us now. So the original book, Vivekachudamani, consists of 581 beautiful verses. But there is a lot of thematic repetition. Therefore, in order to make it simple and also to avoid repetition, Swami Paramarthanandaji carefully went through the entire work to select 108 verses covering all the topics discussed in the original. Pujya Swamiji Dayanand Saraswati then taught those 108 verses to the residential students at the Gurukulam at Anaikatti a few years ago. And our classes and learning will be based on those 108 verses originally taught by Pujya Swamiji. And I have actually circulated that 108 verses, sent all of you. I hope you have got the text with you. So you can follow the text as the classes go on. Progress rather. So the title Vivekachudamani consists of two parts. Viveka and Chudamani. Isn't it? The word Chudamani means an ornament for the head. Manihi means a gem or a jewel. Crest jewel or head ornament is called Chudamani. Mostly it is worn by women only rather. And it is also not worn regularly. But we can see that ornament. Here they will have that one, this thing will be there, and here they will be wearing that called crest jewel. On special occasions and all, like weddings or Bharatanatyam dance and all that, women wear that, the Chudamani. Here, the work is called Chudamani or crest jewel because the text highlights Viveka as the most important qualification for a spiritual seeker. Those who have read Valmiki Ramayana would be familiar with this word Chudamani. When Hanuman or Anjaneya goes in search of Sita and finds her, in order to establish his credentials as the one who has been sent by Rama, he produces Rama's ring as a token of proof. Sita is then satisfied that Hanuman is Ravana's emissary and he is not Ravana in disguise, because that doubt Sita always has whenever somebody comes. But Ravana was trying to woo her in different disguises. So once satisfied, Sita gives her Chudamani to Anjaneya to be shown to Rama as a token of proof that Hanuman had indeed met her. Because that is the only ornament she was left with her. All other ornaments she had thrown while Ravana was kidnapping her, so that she knew that if somebody wants to find out the route in which she has gone, they will find the ornaments, strewn across, and they can follow that route. Only the Chudamani on her head, she kept it with her. Of course, these events, those who have read Ramayana, Sundarakanda especially, they are explained as Anguliyaka Pradhanam and Chudamani Pradhanam. Chapters are there. So that is a little bit about what is the meaning of Chudamani. And we have already seen the meaning of Viveka as one of the qualifications required for the pursuit of Vedanta studies. Viveka means discrimination. And discrimination is a very important qualification required for a spiritual seeker. The entire spiritual sadhana consists of two stages. The first stage is called Karma Yoga. That requires Viveka, discrimination between dharma and adharma. A Karma Yogi has to take to a lifestyle of dharma, avoiding adharma. Therefore, a Karma Yogi requires Viveka between dharma and adharma, which is called Dharma Dharma Viveka. Viveka. So this is the first stage of spiritual studies rather. And once he has got the requisite qualification, he has to go to Jnana Yoga, which also, as we have seen, requires Viveka, discrimination between Atma and Anatma. What is that? Discrimination between Atma and Anatma is nothing but discrimination between permanent and impermanent. Because the first message which the Upanishads give, and we will also see in Vivekachudamani, is that when we are discriminating between permanent and impermanent, we have to understand that the Atma, the self, or which is Brahman, is the only permanent thing. Everything else in this entire universe, in this cosmos, is impermanent. Everything else has got a date of birth and the date of death. They are all impermanent. This is the first lesson we have to understand. So when it comes to the self I, we have to distinguish between the real I and the false or assumed I. Therefore, Jnana Yoga involves Atma Anatma Viveka. Therefore, the entire spiritual journey requires discrimination or discretion faculty. And that is why Viveka is compared to a Chudamani, a crest jewel. Here it is not a physical ornament that is used outside, that is the head, but it's an inner ornament, one that is required within the head, not just by females, but by every spiritual seeker. That's why it is called appropriately Vivekachudamani, the crest jewel of discrimination, which leads the seeker to liberation. Therefore, the importance of Viveka is indicated in the very title of the book, Vivekachudamani. Now, before we enter to the text proper, there are some housekeeping issues, some guidelines for students who are joining my classes for the first time. The teaching style we will adopt is that each class will consist of my talk for an hour. In the process, I will explain the meanings of the words in the slokas or verses and then elaborate them also. After each class, we will have time for questions and answers where the students can get clarifications for the questions that they may have. Therefore, while listening to the talk, the student, if they want, can note down their queries and raise them at the end of the class. Okay. So during the class, there is only listening which is going on. So with that background, we will now enter into the text proper. And any text, especially a Vedanta text, irrespective of its subject matter, generally begins with a prayer that is meant for its successful completion, which sometimes also implies the audience to whom for the work is meant. Well, not always, of course. Who are the adhikaris? That prayer verse mentions that also. In Tattva Bodha, it is mentioned. Here it doesn't mention. Vivekachudamani doesn't talk about adhikaritva. So, but Vivekachudamani also starts with a prayer which is called Mangalacharana. And I will read the verse, which is verse number 1. Those who want to read along with me can do so on mute mode so that you will not disturb others. Okay. Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Sadgurum Pranatosmyaham. This is the first verse. First, we will see the word meanings of these words. Okay. Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam. The one who is known through the meaning of Mahavakyas of all Upanishads. Sarva Vedanta means all Upanishads. Siddhanta. Siddhanta of Upanishads is contained in the Mahavakyams. What are Mahavakyams? I'll explain later. Gocharam means the one who is known. Agocharam, one who is not an object of the senses and the mind. Cannot be known by the sense faculties or the mind. Govindam, the Lord Govinda, one who is known through the Vedas. Or there is one more interpretation. The word Govindam can also refer to Govindapada, Adi Shankara's guru. That's why, if you take Govinda as Adi Shankara's guru, then he is paying his respects to his guru. Otherwise, if you think that this is not a work of Adi Shankara, Govinda can refer to Lord Govinda, Lord Krishna, Vishnu. Paramanandam, who is limitless and who is of the nature of joy, nature of absolute happiness. Tam, to that Sadgurum, teacher, Aham, I, Pranataha, saluting, Asmi, I remain. Therefore, the meaning of this, simple meaning of this sloka is, I remain saluting the teacher Govinda, who is limitless and of the nature of joy, absolute joy, who is not objectified by the senses and the mind, but is known through the Mahavakyas of all the Upanishads. This is the simple word meaning translation of this verse. So as I said, the word Govinda is interpreted in two ways. If this work was written by Adi Shankara, then the altar of his prayer is Govinda, who was his Acharya, who is known by the name Govinda Padacharya. But if the author was to be any other Shankaracharya in the order, the altar of prayer would be Lord Govinda, Bhagavan Govinda. So in both the capacities, the address is to a guru, because Bhagavan Krishna is also Jagat Guru. So even if you take as this address is being meant to Govinda, who is Krishna, there is no harm. It is to a guru only it is being addressed. And offering our prayers and namaskaras to Guru before you start anything is our tradition. And our Adi Guru, as I said, is Lord Dakshinamurti, is nothing but a form of Sadashiva. And that's why we have a prayer, Sadashiva Samarambham, Shankaracharya Madhyamam, Asmadacharya Padyantam, Vande Guru Paramparam. That is a prayer we offer before every class, before we start every class. So now coming back to the sloka, Govindam Pranataha Asmi, I salute that Govinda. And who is that Govinda? He is Paramanandaha, the one who is limitless, who is Parama, limitless, and Ananda. Ananda, we can take it as happiness. As I said, we all experience happiness occasionally at times. That's called experiential happiness. It is the thought-led happiness, vritti visesha. It comes with a happy thought and goes away when the thought goes away. It is temporary and time-bound. It could arise due to a number of worldly experiences. So this type of ananda is called samsarika sukha, which is limited and experiential happiness. Whenever the word Ananda defines the Atma, it is not experiential happiness, it is not Samsarika Sukha, it is a Swarupa, the very nature of the Atma. Even the limited experience of occasional happiness, that is Samsarika Sukha, is nothing but a manifestation of the Swarupananda only, which is limitless and which is Parama, not conditioned by space, time, or any situation. For experiencing Samsarika Sukha, experiential happiness, some reason or nimitta is necessary. Whereas Swarupananda or Atmananda is without any particular reason, because it is the very nature of Atma. So Govinda is one who is Paramananda, and who is stated here as Sadguru. Now the word Sadguru also has got two meanings, which we will see in the next class. It is time up now. Okay, I'll stop here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you all very much. Dhanyavadaha. Thank you.
Hari Om Guruji.
Hari Om Guruji.
Dhanyavada Mahodaya.
Hari Om Ji.
Hari Om. Hari Om. Thank
Hari
you.
Om.
Hari Om, and thank you very much, Guruji.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hari
Hari
Om.
Om Guruji.
Thank you.
Hari Om.
Thank you.
Hari Om Guruji.
Thank you.
Hari Om
Thank you very
Guruji.
much,
Thank you.
Guruji. Thank you very much.
I
Lovely,
hope
sir.
the introduction was sufficient.
As
Yes,
I
yes,
said,
absolutely.
an exhilarating experience.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Simply superb.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. A lot of new students are there, so I thought that I'll make it little. Even otherwise, I had decided before you requested for that. So some background is necessary, for Vedanta. Of course,
Very nice.
all
Very,
the students
very nice.
are all having background of Vedanta. Not that they are totally raw, but it helps us also to, refresh
Nicely
our
built
memory.
up.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
Hari Om.
Thank you very much, Guruji.
Hari Om.
Namaskar.
Thank you. Namaskar. Yes, Hariji. What is the question? Hariji is our opening batsman in all classes. Like Gavaskar or Tendulkar. Tendulkar, I don't know. Gavaskar was opening batsman, I remember. Yes, Hariji.
Hari Om Guruji.
Hari Om.
See, when it has been told that the Atma Bodha and Tattva Bodha or even Bhajagovindam, these type of books have been written by Jagadguru Shankaracharya. What could have been the reason for him to write another book called Vivekachudamani? I'm only trying to understand it so that I will be able to study Vivekachudamani from that angle.
Yes. See, the answer is very simple. I think I did touch upon that. Because as I tell, there are three levels of adhikaritva. Manda adhikari, madhyama adhikari, and uttama adhikari. Correct?
Yeah.
Atma Bodha, Tattva Bodha are all for Manda adhikaris, beginners rather, who have no exposure to Vedanta, who do not know what Vedanta is. If you tell them Panchakosha Viveka, Shariratrayam and all that, they won't understand what they are. So what Acharyas have done is to address the requirements of those kind of students, those type of students, these texts like Tattva Bodha, Atma Bodha, etc. was done. Tattva Bodha, as I told, is very simple. It is in a prose form rather, not even in a verse form.
Yeah.
Atma Bodha, at least Adi Shankara has written in a verse form. But again, the language that he uses is very simple, with a little bit of Sanskrit, one can understand what the Atma Bodha is. Vivekachudamani is a little higher level for Madhyama Adhikaris. People who have already done Tattva Bodha, Atma Bodha, etc. People who have already started studying Vedanta or Bhagavad Gita seriously, not for entertainment, not for time pass. So when they come to the later stage, and there are certain Upanishads, like you know very well that Mandukya Upanishad and all, when they start studying, they require a lot more, exposure to various other aspects of what Vedanta covers. Because, as I said, logic is one of the most important things that needs to be addressed, right? Reasoning, because So many times what happens is in the Upanishad, we will have contradictory statements or statements which appear to be contradictory. So in order to understand those statements and all that, and even if a guru is explaining, for you to understand what the guru is explaining, you must have that material in your mind. Oh, this is the technique which we have to apply in this context for me to understand this. So there are a lot of things like Lakshyartha, Vachyartha, so many things are there. We have to be, that, and Vivekachudamani deals with some of these aspects, at a higher level than Tattva Bodha or Atma Bodha. So Acharyas also, like, mothers, when the child is small, just born baby, she will give what? She will give milk, her milk or some liquid diet to the child, correct? Which the child can easily digest. Will she immediately start giving any solid food? It will not, it will lead to indigestion of the child. So they will start with liquid food. Once the child grows up, maybe a couple of years or something like that, or even 6 months, 8 months, I don't know exactly what time it takes. Then slowly semi-solid food will be introduced, like kool and all that, the broth and all that. Then later on, rice and dal, etc. will be introduced. Why? Because the mother knows how to bring up the child, how to take the child from a baby, just born baby, to a man, big man or a big woman. Only the mother can do that. Similarly, Acharyas, with their motherly affection for the student, they have composed these texts at different levels so that at the appropriate level, the student can study the appropriate text. Now you understand why there are different texts? Or is my answer not satisfying?
No. I asked this question only to approach this book from that angle.
Yeah, because here also there will be lot of repetition. It will appear like repetition.
True. Yes, yeah.
From Tattva Bodha, right?
Yeah.
But it will go more deeper into that those aspects which is Tattva Bodha was, summarily covered or very superficially covered. Here it will go more deeper, and Adi Shankara or whoever is the author will explain it in a much more detailed way for us to understand. That is what it is. Yeah.
See, is when compared to when we make a comparison between Bhagavad Gita and Vivekachudamani, is Vivekachudamani still an introductory book?
Yes. Vivekachudamani only tells you what Bhagavad Gita, what moksha is and things like that, and what sadhanas one needs to do. Okay. Bhagavad Gita is a Smriti Grantha. It is the essence of the Upanishads is the teaching of Bhagavad Gita. So that is a part of Prasthana Trayam. Prakarana Granthas are not part of Prasthana Trayam at all. Vivekachudamani, there is no comparison with Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is a very high pedestal. Vivekachudamani is just an introductory text.
Okay.
By studying Vivekachudamani, you will not get moksha. But study of Vivekachudamani will help you understand a lot of things which are said in the Bhagavad Gita.
Okay.
It provides you the tools, the language, the terminology, the methodology of Vedanta. That
concept.
Provides
you mean the concept?
Yeah, concepts. All that Vivekachudamani will teach. And when we apply that to study of Bhagavad Gita, what is taught in Bhagavad Gita will become much more clear there.
Okay.
That is what it is. That's the purpose of Vivekachudamani. Okay. And that is why I took up Vivekachudamani, mainly because now we are almost, third chapter Bhagavad Gita we have come to. So now we start learning Vivekachudamani also as we go along, it will be an addition to our learning Bhagavad Gita. Things will become easier and clearer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hari Om. Thanks.
Hari Om.
Any other question? Nothing else?
Guruji, this is Lata.
Yes, Lata.
Yeah, I think Hariji is the opening batsman and I am the follower.
No, there are two opening batsmen, you know, always. But I can't see you on the screen. I mean,
I'm here,
where?
Guruji.
Yeah. Now you have come on the screen. Yeah.
I'm facing
No, I couldn't even see your name, rather. So that's why.
All right.
Okay, tell me.
Yeah, Hari Om, Guruji.
Hari Om.
Thank you. The comparison of what to Hariji's question, why the Vivekachudamani is written explanation, explaining, comparing it to mother giving different food. It's a very beautiful comparison, and it drives the message home just with that example. Guruji, most of the things you did cover in the Tattva Bodha, but then I think still I have some the small doubt about the meaning of Uparamaha, about the Shat Sampatti. In the Shat Sampatti, the meaning of Uparamaha, if you can just tell me once again, Guruji. And also the literal meaning of Prakarana. Prakarana Gantha, you did mention that it is introductory text, but Prakarana is there any the actual meaning? Like we keep saying Prakarana happened and an event happened and things like that.
No.
We use
Prakarana means methodology.
Methodology, okay.
The word Prakaranam means methodology. Right. So Prakarana Grantha is a text which explains the methodology of how the teaching has been covered in the Prasthanatrayam. So the word Prakarana, you must understand it as a methodology. Okay. So methodology will include what? It will include all the technical terms which are used. Then the logic which is used. So there are so many nyayas which, you know, are talked about in the Upanishads rather. So to understand many of these verses, you require a knowledge of the Nyaya Shastra also. There is one Nyaya called Dahali Deepika Nyaya, which means, Dahali Deepika means a lamp which is placed on the, in between two rooms, you know, on the door sill. It will give light here and it will give light there, right? Both the places, that lamp. So that Nyaya is used in the Shastra to explain certain things, that the meaning of this particular, word or sloka can actually validly be taken this way or that way also. Because that, using that Nyaya. So these are this Nyaya Shastra and also these Nyayas and all that which are used in the Upanishads. They are all studied at a Uttamadhikari level. There are Prakarana Granthas for all that also rather. They are studied at the Uttamadhikari level. So there are various levels are there. So far as Uparama is concerned, all that you need to understand, Uparama means withdrawal. Withdrawal means what? You can understand it as introvertedness. Because by human nature, by its nature, you know, all our sense faculties are outgoing. Isn't it? Everything is outgoing, hearing outgoing, and all these outgoing sense faculties. So what Uparama says is that you withdraw from these outgoing kind of a thing and withdraw unto yourself. That is one of the qualifications one should have. One cannot be studying Vedanta and continuing to pursue all materialistic goals in life. I want to see all the movies which are released on first day, first show. I want to study Vedanta also. It will not go together. Either Vedanta will be casualty. Of course, movie you are doing of your choice, so that won't be casualty. Vedanta will be a casualty. So these qualification, Uparama basically means withdraw. Withdraw. And I interpret withdrawal as a different thing, outgrowing. That is, you have actually experienced enough. Now that is you got a alam buddhi. Enough is enough. Now let me get rid of it rather. I don't want to pursue this any longer. And there are many people. I mean, I don't know how many of us here. I personally don't watch any TV, and I know many people don't watch any TV program at all. Because they have outgrown that need for an entertainment through a TV program. Many of these sadhakas, mumukshus, they find even Vedanta study to be very entertaining. Many people will not agree with that. At least my wife will not agree. It's a totally boring thing that you do and you make other people do. But having said that, they find entertainment in this. So Uparama basically is a qualification. Unless you withdraw yourself from all these external pursuits, you will not be fully qualified. You cannot focus on Vedanta. Vedanta study will be waste for you. That is Uparama.
Thank you very much, Guruji.
Normally, Uparama is also one of the most important qualifications for a sannyasi. That also is the additional information, because sannyasi, the most important thing is Uparama. First thing, he has to withdraw from the world. All materialistic worldly affairs, sannyasi needs to withdraw. That mental maturity, unless he gains, he can't be a sannyasi. He
That
can
must
be an
the
outward
prerequisite
sannyasi,
for the-
not internal sannyasi. Huh?
That must be Uparama is a prerequisite for the or a part of meditation as well, I guess.
Meditation also, I mean, that's why, this one qualification will help in many ways as a part of the spiritual journey. It's not that only only for studies in meditation, japa, focusing your mind in what you are supposed to do. Even without Uparama, you will not have samadhanam. Shatka Sampatti we saw, last one is samadhana, which is chitta ekagrata, chitta naischalya. Without Uparama, you will not have it. Even you may withdraw your sense faculties, but your mind will keep going around all the sense faculties even when you are sitting for japa or puja or whatever it is. That is also you have to withdraw. That is again Uparama. So Uparama development helps you throughout in the spiritual pursuit.
Thank you very much for the beautiful.
Thank you. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Thank you. No other questions? Okay, Hari Om. I'll close the session and we'll continue next Sunday. Hari Om. Thank you.